Wednesday night, we're all in sight. 9 o'clock, it's shining bright. Turn the dial and feel the might. Just enough Heshy takes flight. Woo! Laughs and wisdom side by side. Heshy show won't be denied. Tune in live and ride the tide. Feel the rush and feel the pride. It's just enough Heshy. Wanna vote for Heshy? It's just enough Heshy. Join the crowd, it's messy.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Justin Heshy show. I just got
you almost choked on that.
I know that, but you tried to beat me to it. I didn't beat you.
Yeah, I was looking to actually do my long intro.
Well,
but
welcome, Tom, back. Welcome to the show.
Yep.
Welcome for another week.
We're here, back to normal, Heshy. We're back to normal.
Back to normal, and I know what you all want to hear. We will talk about it.
We will? Do you want to?
You know what? Let me tell you something. Everybody called me last night. You're depressed. They Channel 1 News made a Zoom interview with me at 11 o'clock. I said, I have to get into the family. This is a game that I'm playing with you guys. And this morning from Mr. Pilstein called me, Mr. Friedlander called me, all the politicians are calling me.
Yeah.
And I even got inside information that the Brooklyn Republican Party from the, you even heard that.
Yeah, I heard something about
that
something that
they were scared that I was going to win. They actually thought I won the election. I mean, the truth of the matter is I lost because of one organization, two really, Bubba and Bells. They came out with 25. Really, I only lost Brooklyn, Borough Park, 3,200 to 600 votes. And usually nobody else comes out. They pushed Phil the Cry, and they got somehow they.
Well, I think that, look, ultimately, he was an incumbent. He had been in office a long time. And I think that obviously that was one election. But like you said, Heshy, you're not depressed. You're not sad. Why? Because today is the start of another election coming up here.
You see, everybody thinks that. But
yes.
What you don't understand is that the people chose this. The people wanted this. And I agree with the people's decision.
You do?
You listen to me. That's what they want, the homeless shelter. There's no way Felder's going to finish it. If that's what they want, that 3 schools lost their certification and are losing their money.
Yes.
4 different daycare centers have had to close up because they lost their licenses. So Felder is the man. Yesterday, I'm going to tell you a story.
All right.
There was a guy arrested. I don't even know when our 5.
Well, we have about 2.5 minutes until that.
So, there was a guy arrested, and he called Felder's office, and Felder's office, of course, doesn't pick up. They said, "Why don't you go to Heshy?" So, they're saying that. When he walked in, he says, "Felder's office sent us to you with Jaeger." I said, "Why to me?" He says, "This is what your specialty is." I said, "My specialty is not that. I help people for free, but again, you should be using your councilman assemblyman." I did this till now, but I really want to now. People have decided that I'm not the right person. Yesterday we were standing outside in front of the office for a few moments.
Yes.
And a lady walked by and says, "We'll vote for you, but you do things too loudly." I said, "What do you want me to do with the homeless shelter exactly? Not scream? Not go file charges? Not go file?"
Yeah, there seems to be a mindset, I think, in a large surrounding of the district that people want someone to go along, get along. But what has that got? Not only this district, but I think the city. Going along is getting the homeless shelters, these massive buildings throughout our district that people can't afford to live in, and things like the City of Yes, and budget problems.
Stop the City of Yes.
Well, we're going to talk about that.
So we're now. I think we have what
we have time, but I think that a lot of the things that ultimately people deep down know that you're the man for this job, but people want an approach of someone that, again, and you're a competitor who had won yesterday, is just going to say, "Yeah, I'm against it," but really being
he wrote a letter, and he knew about this for 2 years.
But being against it doesn't mean he's going to stop it. Being against it,
so did Jaeger. He didn't stop it,
and that's what. And the community leaders are content with getting crumbs from the overall bread, and I think that that's the problem. And
I
but
want you to welcome.
so
our guest.
let's say hello to everybody here coming in at 1027 WNEW, the legendary WNEW, WJPR in beautiful Miami, Florida, 1640 AM. Heshy, a few people I spoke to that know you are in Miami, Florida right now.
Wow.
Also WOR 710 AM, and also of course the legendary 620, our flagship station, 620 AM, and also we're here on the TalkLineNetwork.com. And thank you everybody for tuning in. Yes, we're getting calls right now, but you can't call in this week. You can call us next week on the Justin F. Heshy
That's
show,
right.
but the phone never stops ringing.
Right, but I want you to know something.
Yes.
And for the people, for the listeners that just joined us, again, people are thinking that I was depressed. People are saying, "Oh, we feel bad for you." I have guys texting me, "Why did you lose? You deserve to lose, or you should have won." I said, "Why didn't you come out?" You know, today I met two people. We voted for you.
Yes.
I said, "But your leadership said not to vote for me, so you know you didn't vote for me." I had a guy who texted me from a Jersey, and I voted for you. I said, "You couldn't have. You live in Jersey."
Well, you know what, Heshy, I was
And
talking
just
to
like
you.
Mr. Felder, I believe Mr. Felder should send out his acceptance speech from his house in Jersey where he lives.
But, I think that's the problem sometimes is that when you're in the street, people tell you, yeah. But when it comes down to the nitty gritty, those
Tom,
things happen.
It's not that I don't believe them or believe them. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
The point is when they're in trouble, yesterday.
They go to you.
During election, I had a guy who walked into our office, a
Mm-hmm.
pretty famous guy, and his son was arrested for a hit and run, which was a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
He hit somebody, the car couldn't stop. Anyways, they arrested him, gave him 3 serious violations, and he went to other lawyers.
Mm-hmm.
And he went to our Mr. Felder, and he called, of course, the councilman out before he called me.
Right.
They said, "We can't help you. You have to deal with the DA, and the DA doesn't want to cooperate. Go to Heshy." That's what they did. I said, "Really? They sent you to me?" He says, "Yeah." I said, "But you went to other lawyers. Why come to me?" He says, "You're the one that knows the route. You know."
Well, you know how to cut through the red tape. You're the one that knows how to
They
talk
want
to the
put him
people.
in jail for 2 years and so on. So I said, "But again, I'm not elected. I don't know what
Yeah.
you want from me. I mean, these are the people that you chose. You can't play both sides of the game."
But that's what people seem
Today
to
I had
do.
a guy who gave me a building many years ago to help him, and then he
Mm-hmm.
went with somebody else, and then he screwed around with me. Then he came back to me for more advice,
Mm-hmm.
and then his sister-in-law came for more advice, and then now he's in big trouble. I told him what was going to happen, and right before he came in, there was a Mrs. Robles. She called me as well. I helped her 12 years ago, and I told her what to do. I told her what to do.
All right.
I said, "You're going to have problems in the future, and fix it now."
And let me guess, she didn't listen.
And now it's 12 years later. It's now whatever was going to cost her $5-6 grand now is going to cost her $15,000.
Inflation.
Plus she has no heat in the house. "Please help me. I have no money." I said, "What do you want from me? Why are you calling me? I told you. I swear to you." And 3 times already. And her plumber told me, "Well, Mr. she'll go." And now she's
But Heshy, I think that's people in general. People.
No, but it's not the point. I am the professional.
Yes.
I'm the guy
I
who
agree.
knows how to get the job done. You know that. The guy who's told me next door, he says to me, "Heshy, I had to make a wedding during COVID, and you're the one that kept the hall open. Heshy, when I had an issue with the hospital, you're the one that saved me."
Yep.
I had another guy that said, "Oh, when I had a stroke, you sat with me for 2 days." It's not the point that I did it. I'm telling you what I get accomplished.
Yeah.
And now you have a person, your leaders put you in charge, and you didn't have to listen to them. Now that you listen to them, you're going to get the homeless shelter opened up. I'm telling you now,
Yeah.
you don't have to listen to me. You're going to get 3 schools that you're going to get a lot of yeshivas not funded. I'm here to protect our community. You guys,
I think that's a good point.
But
And
this is what
I think that's a good point, though, Heshy, that we have a city budget coming up, which is due on July 1st, and you would have had somebody that would have been a fighter, somebody that would have been unapologetic
give
for our
money to the
community.
LGBTQ.
And instead, you're going to
LGBTQ.
Yes,
Tell
and
them.
I made this point last week on the show about your competitor who had won that famously years ago when there was a vote for the Speaker of the City Council and Christine Quinn. He went to the bathroom basically because he knew he couldn't vote for her, but he was voting for her. So now what's going to happen is we have a budget that's going to be due here in a couple of months, and you're going to have somebody in Simca Felder, your competitor who won, that's going to basically just not do anything for the community, whereas you, because of your experiences in city agencies, because of you being a businessman, because of you understanding what this district, the 44th Councilmanic District, needs, you would have been able to go in there and articulately fight for those needs, whereas he's just going to go along and just be a go along.
What you've
Yes.
lost focus on is that he touted his reputation of buses, which he really didn't do anything with, but he was part of it 12 years ago. He touted his record.
But that's any politician who's going to tout their record.
But it was 10 years ago.
He's going to tout it.
He touted his record on safety, for giving out safety to different synagogues and schools, which was only $5,000. I mean, what does $5,000?
But I guess he forgot to tout his record about when bail reform passed, how he didn't object to bail reform in terms of getting it overturned.
And also with landlord tenants, that his rich landlords can evict people, his friends, but us little people can't. And people calling me all the time, Heshy, how can you help me? How can you go quicker? And I was going to punish these judges. So again, the leadership led us sheep. And now, again, according to the rules, we have to follow the leadership on what we get, and I'm part of that group. I'm going to get in trouble with them as well. Our fines are now going up by 3 times the amount. They're giving now camera tickets for double parking. Yeah. That means if you're sitting in your car picking up your mother, it's called a double park. You're going to get yourself a $150 fine.
But what I found funny...
And one more thing, compost.
Yes.
Do you know that, listen to me very clearly, my dear children.
I want to hear
When you put out your garbage, I'm going to give you the rule because this is what I do. I'm not going to help you on this. Right now, your garbage tickets went from 25 to 50, then to 100. And because of pulling the cans in and out, and if you miss a court date, it's $300.
Yes.
Your compost is starting at $25.50, which means you have to separate when you have food that's left over.
Food has to be in a brown,
in a separate in a separate bag in a brown container. And if you have old paper, again mold, you have to put that in the compost thing. And the garbage men will open your garbage. And you will be
starting April 1st, they're going around and finding people that aren't putting in the right bins or
so again, these are things that should not have been approved and should be stopped. And Mr. Felder will not stop it. He will not stop that. And I know I'm talking to people not only in my district, but it's that I would have gotten in there and I would have stopped the other councilman from being crazy. You know,
and he's not. He's just going to sit there like he always does, like this. Right. He's going to sit there with his hands folded, and he's going to take a crumb, which the community leaders are very happy to take that crumb. And it's not going to be beneficial to anybody but a handful of people. But yet the voters, like you talked about, they're content with that because they go with, oh, Heshy, he's a disruptor. Oh, Heshy this, Heshy that. But meanwhile, the person that they put in office, sure, he's going to tell him he's against this. He's going to tell him he's against that. But really, at the end of the day, what is he doing to stop those things?
And you know
what is he doing to object to them?
I'm not going to complain about the media, okay? Because you're saying, oh, the media is always right. You know, when they showed pictures and news clips, Mr. Felder is 67 years old with a long gray beard who can barely stand straight. And when you hear him talk, he talks like he's
Did you see the New York City votes video? He goes, I have a beard.
Right. And now, let me explain to you something.
Yes.
If you look at the pictures that the news reporters put up, they put up pictures of him 20 years ago.
Yep.
And with looking much better and skinnier. I mean, the man can barely stand up. And this is the person they showed a picture of me 4 years ago.
They showed you fighting,
Right. And this is the picture they showed. And then there's this loser, Jeffrey Lieb, who put out they ripped down my flyers. They put up his flyers. And he touts a picture of me attacking a reporter during the riot. Again, he lied. He didn't tell you the whole story. And about me having a fight with my family over money.
Well, he basically recycled the same attack line
12 years ago.
And when you ran in a different district, where the one that Ina Vernikoff, who's been no friend to the
did not report that money. Yep. They used a different name and a different campaign. Again, I don't care what.
And Felder himself mailed from his state Senate committee, which that's another issue there.
So this is where my quote comes into effect.
All right, let's hear it.
Here's my quote. First, I want to shout out to my granddaughter Mira Nava. And I'll be, hanging out with you soon because this might be our last show tonight. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, listen,
it's been a great run, Heshy.
It was. I'm a little tired, and we are going to be in the next campaign in June. But
again, it starts today.
That because I collected the signatures, I raised the money, and I put it in, so our petitions are there. But again, the people, I'm not going to fight the people's decision. If they don't want to come out and vote then in June, then I'm not going to continue. But I will be in the final elections. I will be in November because I've earned the right. I've done the work.
Yes.
Again, I'm handing the decision back to you. But again, you made Felder the incumbent. So again, you'll have a choice to see what Mr. Felder does over the next 3 months, which is 0. So you'll have an option to get rid of it.
Was that the quote of the day? He's going to do 0?
So here's my quote. By the way, Nava, I'm shouting out to you. Sergeant Peter, my granddaughter, Layla tomorrow, my grandson, Benjamin Hill, my other grandson who's really talking now. I have a cute story about him, and his name is Yeshua, and my beautiful granddaughter, Ahuva, and I'm getting one in a few more months. You know that.
Wow, I mean, the family's growing. The family
Growing with nephews and nieces. So
future.
really,
It's not just enough family members.
So my family, I've abused over 40 years. I mean, I've been good to them. I've gone to the PTAs. I've given them the time. I've raised my money. I've been broke, feeding them and all that. But the point is I've taken away a lot of the time for the community. And I thought this was me. You know, I know I'm not like Biden or Mr. Idiot, what's his name again, Sleepyhead Felder. I know my time is coming to an end. So I know that I only have energy. And I figured maybe till about 67, 68, I know I can keep going. Hopefully everything is well. And I'm in perfect health for the last for 40, 50 years.
Okay.
So I was thinking this would be my run and never run again. Now people are telling me, run for mayor, run for governor, run for president. You'll get more. They want me to be a celebrity. I'm not a celebrity. I came here to help you. I came here that I have a reputation of 40 years of doing for the community and for its people and not making money, of raising funds. So I was talking to the homeless shelter people. They said, you need to do something big, Heshy, the next time. You need to get the word out. I said, 1 minute. Opening COVID, all the synagogues and wedding halls, opening the parks. For
protests last month.
Forget protests, forget getting people out of jail, taking in kids, feeding hundreds of families, thousands of families over the years.
Yes.
Having a foundation that gives charity to many different organizations. That's not enough. He says, oh, you'll be rewarded by God for that. I said, okay, no problem. There was nothing more to me to say to the guy. So here's my quote. Ellie, by the way, I didn't shout out for Ellie. His first time he was able to vote.
Good.
At any given moment, you have the power to say, this is not how the story is going to end. So I don't know how the story is going to end. As of today, I'm not depressed. I went on with my life.
Yeah,
I got up early, went out, went to work, I had clients. I did my regular things, and I continued doing my regular. Like I told you, I'm not going to give up my 18-hour schedules. As a matter of fact, I have a speaking event tonight I'm going to go to after the show. Okay. And then the Sabbath, I was invited to 2 synagogues. I didn't want to go. They called me. We didn't know about the election. We would have given you money. I said, stop. Every poster was out there. How did you not know about it? Yeah. But you know I lost. How did you know I lost? So, and it was in the news. So, but you saw the news reports when they were on when you were running. But again, my whole point here is that I don't know how the story is going to end. As of today, the story is ending. But tomorrow, I have a right to change my story, and I have a right to continue doing. I'm not upset. I'm disappointed, and not with the people, because I know that people have to follow their leaders, even if they're wrong, because they're scared. They're scared of their leaders. They're not men. They're not families that, I'm not scared of them. So they need me for that. And I know that I'm not insulting you guys, but I mean, you have a guy like Mr. Rosenfeld who's so upset that I called him that he was stealing money and drives a Cadillac. How is a man that earns $100,000 driving a Cadillac? How is a guy who earns $150,000 a year have $1 million house from the community board? I just don't even know. I barely can afford that, but they seem to have great lives and vacations. How does Kalman Yeager go out with another woman all the time? I mean, it's just possible. Do you know what it is to go on a date today?
Well, you can tell me about it, but...
And he went down in salary. So here's my next thing. This is by President Kennedy.
Okay.
I'm interested in 2 things. In truth, and I'm interested in fairness. So I played this game fair. I could have cheated. I could have done stuff. I could have ripped down his posters. I could have told you all the stuff that we know about Mr. Felder with our private investigator, all the illegal things that he's done. I'm fair. I don't need to do it. I wanted to win with a landslide victory. I wanted to show them that the people wanted me. They made their voices heard. That they have, some people are blinded. We have many Democrats that are mentally ill because they followed Biden or Kamala Harris. And I had a Democrat the other day that said, Trump is doing a good job, but he's doing it the wrong way. I said, explain that to me. Oh, he's mean. And I said, understand that. You have a Senator Schumer who said that President Trump is what?
A lame duck president.
Duck. That means you want to not cooperate. You're going to tell us you're not going to help the president, and you're an elected official that has to help him. But you're going out of your way to screw him.
because they just lost sight of the fact that they're supposed to help the people. Right. They're elected to work to solve people's problems and make their lives easier, and they're not doing it.
Our leaders of my community.
Yeah, I agree.
Their job is to help the people, not just to be out
but
for their own interests.
They're only, like I said about a few minutes ago, it's only about getting themselves crumbs. And notice it's the same people year after year. The same people.
And if you're happy the way it is, double park tickets, camera tickets, people being arrested.
Fines for not putting your garbage out a certain way, and big buildings on your block, and homeless shelters without notice.
And if you get violations on your property, they just approved, if you get violations on your property and you don't move it quick enough, you get a violation on a violation. Just a violation for not helping you. That is ridiculous. And their court system is a kangaroo court, which you lose 95% of the cases. I don't. And what bothers me so much, Tom, is that they don't, what they don't understand is, besides the city is coming out, they finally approved something called the City of Yes.
Yes.
To allow us to expand. You now have a couple of stupid, idiot, conservative council people that are removing the City of Yes. They just know how to go to court. Like, they're upset with President Trump fighting congestion pricing. He said you have to have it. So when he's deporting people now, he's saying, I want to deport them. And now we're suing him that he can't deport. So we do listen to a judge or we don't. Does Hochul listen to the judge?
I think that's an interesting point that you make, sir, because it seems like when one side sees a favorable outcome to them, they don't want it to go to a court. But then it's another side, then they want to take it to court. And it's not.
But I don't even mind the court. They're spending millions and millions and millions of dollars. And
obviously that's something that you're concerned about, but certainly as our producer here is telling you what a great job you're doing, and just talking about I am you're a great man.
So I'm going to give you my final quote. Live so when your children think of fairness, caring, and integrity, they think of you. So yesterday my daughter-in-law called me up and says, you're my hero. And the other one said, we love you. You're really a winner. I said, sweetie, that's not what I care about. I know that I'm good to my family, and I know that I made you proud. I just wanted to make you proud, to show you that I'm a fair guy, and I won this fairly. And I could have played dirty. I could have done some other stuff. I could have gone and made deals. I could have sold my soul. They asked me to. They asked me to sell my soul and promised them that I was going to get them $7 million for this and another $10 million for that building on 14th Avenue. And a lot of the big leaders told me, Heshy, well, we want a certain program and you're going to make sure that you're going to pass the contracts to some of our people. I said, no. I said, if they pass and I look at things over and it looks fair, but I will not make a deal beforehand, and I'm not going to give you exclusive rights. I'm going to allow you the privilege of presenting to me your request, and I'll review it, and if nobody else's request is better than yours or come close, I'll even come back and tell you what the other guy is.
Well, that's also,
requesting.
People have one side of an agenda
they
want.
to buy me. They tried to blackmail me.
I agree.
Like I told you during the campaign, they tried to blackmail me, saying that I was hanging out with a child molester. and they said they have pictures, which we knew was a lie. So that was the blackmail, and I laughed at them. I said, go do whatever you want. His name is Lenny Mark. Just a low life, nothing. And his wife worked for Carmen Yeager. Now she'll work for Simcha Felder. A low life, and I'm going to get them. I'm going to get all of them. I'm going to get them one by one.
But you know what, Heshy? One door closes, another one opens.
No. You keep forgetting.
Yes.
I was at a wedding the other day.
You are.
And I swear to you, I know you're going to think I'm lying.
No.
A tall man, bigger than me, walks in with a beautiful gown.
Okay.
Stop. I swear. I know you think I have a picture. I took a picture.
That's okay. We
and
believe
I was following him around the wedding.
All right.
Because I wanted to see what bathroom he was going to use.
That's the joke of the week.
And how he's going to pick up that skirt to go to the bathroom. But the point is he had a nerve to come to a Jewish religious wedding as a transgender with no respect.
No, he did that really?
There was nobody else there transgender. Somebody said, you're against gay people. I'm not. But when you come to a wedding, you don't have to act gayish. You don't have to have, your thing in the street there. You're respectful to whatever. You want to go to a gay wedding and have orgy sex, go ahead. But that's not what you do at this wedding. And you don't come in a dress with earrings when you know that the whole community will be watching you, and it's wrong.
Yeah, I think that's a fair
point.
point.
To make a statement.
Right. Yeah, that's.
I was enthralled by it. Here's my joke of the day.
All right, here we go.
My my 4-year-old, but really he's almost 4-year-old granddaughter. She was 4-year-old granddaughter. She was over by me for the day, and so I had to leave.
Okay.
I had to leave real quickly. So I was on my way out of the house, and Linda was already gone, and I had a babysitter that came over, and I stood there by the door waiting for the babysitter. I was all nervous. And my little 4-year-old saw my face, and she says, Big H, what's wrong? And I said to her, oh, I'm going to meet with a woman who always yells at me. And she says, oh, say hi to Grandma for me.
No comment. No.
That was funny.
No, it was funny, sir, but hopefully that grandmother wasn't listening to that joke.
She wasn't.
I like to wish my brother a happy birthday today, by the way. He may or may not tune in. I'd like to wish him a happy birthday. Today is his birthday.
What's his name?
Sean.
Sean, happy birthday. Can I tell you another joke?
You can tell me 10 jokes. It's your show. You're
This is the best one. I know that. So the best story is when Avram came home when he was a little boy. He came home from school, and he got a good report card. He got a really good report card. Some A's and B's.
Yeah, sure.
And I had to sign it. And on the bottom of the report card, there was a note and said, Avram is a smart little boy, but he has one fault. He talks too much in school. And then he writes next to the note, I have an idea which may break that habit. So I write back to him, please let me know if your idea works because I want to try it out on his mother.
Now, hopefully that Abraham's not listening to this. Hopefully not.
Avram is the producer.
I was trying to, well, we don't know that definitively.
People called me up and called you up and said
Yes,
the
we
election results were false. And, because we knew that we were in the lead. There was only 600.
Yeah, early person voted at
686.
86
votes.
686,
When
yes.
they opened the election results, 1 minute into the election results, which nobody really
820.
820, and he got to 600. How is that possible?
That's a great question. I wish I knew. I mean, I wouldn't be here right now, right? I mean, I don't know.
So somebody says, oh, it was falsified. And then I know that I went around to a few of the places, and I got calls. One place only had 130 votes.
Yeah, I got a call from somebody that told me that on one of our poll sites in Gravesend that only 6 people had voted at like 10 o'clock in the morning.
And how did they end up with 400 voters?
I don't know. I wondered this. Listen, remember 2 years ago in the Republican primary, you won the vote on election day and lost. We wouldn't have had this election.
I'm not saying conspiracy theory. I'm just telling you that they control. I went to a poll site. No papers in my hand.
All right.
No documents. I went to vote down the block, and then I walked over to this next poll site. And I was standing there doing texting, and somebody stopped me to talk to me.
Right.
Heshy, blah, blah, blah. And we stood right in front of the door while my people who were handing out pamphlets were 100, 200 feet away.
Okay.
Lady comes running out. What are you doing here? I said, and there was some blonde, stupid lady. I didn't take a picture of her. I should have taken a picture of her. She complained that the candidate's standing in front. I said, I'm talking to the guy. And people come over and say hello, and I shake their hand.
Right.
You can't be here, you're electioneering. I says, no, I'm not. I have nothing in my hand. I have no telling not people to vote for me, but if they come over to me...
First Amendment right.
My First Amendment right, without even a question. Anyways, I pulled out my Constitution. I showed it to her. She went inside. Her supervisor came back. What's your name? I said, you just told me I'm the candidate. So I handed her my card. I said, here I am. Here's my number. She goes back in and calls the cop and says, I handed her a card out for my election. I said, really? This is my business card that says my name and number. And I said to the guy, I showed him the Constitution, I said, I can stand there. I said, you can try to arrest me, but I'm not going with you because you have no reasonable suspicion that I'm talking to anybody. And look, here's the guy standing over there. I'll tell you that he stopped me. I'm allowed to stand on public. I'm not even in the school ground.
You're not.
It's public ground, and I'm allowed to stand there saying hello to anybody I wish.
This is the problem.
Right. So again, and then I hugged the lady at the end. She's and then I went over to the blonde lady at the end. I said, "You vicious witch! you had nothing to do with yourself." I mean, she brought her husband over like a tough guy. Are you kidding me? I wish you would have. I should have called her a name, but my campaign manager doesn't like to call women names.
Well, I mean, obviously, it's unfortunate what happened with you there. And
No. You see, again, I don't take things serious.
it's still unfortunate that you had to bring your constitution out to defend the right that you just standing. You had no election paraphernalia. You had no poster or next to you, no campaign button, no nothing. You were just saying hello like anybody else would.
And all the rich presidents and stuff like that, when they go out, they stand in campaign sites, in election sites.
Oh yeah, and they wouldn't have said nothing if somebody would have came in there like Adams or anybody else like that. Right.
Me, have a problem. Even when I saw Yeager going into sites, talking to people and shaking hands, they let him in. So again, you're playing the game. So on our cover link this week, usually I always have like a cover photograph. Something funny. So I have green. I have the real picture of Mr. What's the idiot's name again? Felder.
Forgot about him already.
A small picture of him sleeping on the side, calling him sleepyhead. I have Dopey in the corner there, and I have Greenfeld, the crook loser.
Yeah.
And here are the gang members of our neighborhood that seem to control, and you allowed these gangsters to take control. I mean, Greenfeld is not even part of the neighborhood. He's making millions of dollars on you, and you say, well, Heshy, Greenfeld is not here. Do you not think he's getting a piece of the action every time he speaks to one of our politicians to throw money at one of the head neighbors?
And that's an interesting point because he's a head of a nonprofit, correct?
A non-for-profit.
And so,
his whole salary is not more than $300,000.
The point would be, why is it that on social media, the last two election cycles, if he's the head of a nonprofit group, why is he endorsing candidates?
And all those schools that are nonprofits, they have no right to endorse anybody. Again, it's illegal. And Mr. Felder printed that form. So I don't know what I should do. People are telling me go sue them, go to the attorney general. They actually committed a criminal offense. And so they're saying, well, some of the people said, well, it wasn't us. Mr. Felder created the form and gave it to us. And as you can see on the side, so basically false advertisement. I don't know what to do.
I think that's a question that obviously stay tuned for it. And by the way, if you are watching this here, give a sub to Heshy on YouTube, Just Enough Heshy. You can also email him anytime, justenoughheshy@gmail.com. And for now, he does have an office here if you want to stop by and tell Heshy that this time you're going to help him in the next round, even though he may not want to campaign in the next round. 5318 16th Avenue.
They support me. Saying I pick up the phone and saying I support you means nothing. I love you guys, but you know, if you don't want my help, it's fine. You know, I told you I had a guy today. I'm tired. You know, the Syrian community gets into a lot of trouble. They call me left and right daily. And one of the guys I just helped, he says, "Oh, my brothers and sisters are crazy." They asked me to invite them to things, but they came out for Felder, who has done nothing for them.
I think people just, you know what? I think that's the problem.
They're saying that I'm vindictive. Oh, I'm going to get them back. I'm not getting
them back.
But I
think the problem, it's not even that you're vindictive. I think you're a disruptor. And I think that it's not those problems. But the problem is, it's not just in this district, but it's politics across the United States and local elections.
I was there.
People vote for what?
Guys, all you had to do was open the door for me. Let me through, and I told you what I could do. Are you so scared that I was going to fix the city council? Are you so scared that I was going to stop
And
them?
considering this city council where we even have Republicans like Ina Vernikov, Vicky Palladino, David Carr, they don't do anything for us.
And Ina is so busy sleeping with married men. I know my producer's going to come screaming at me. But here's a city councilwoman taking away a married man from his wife. I mean, she's so busy in the middle of the day. We have video of her going into... I mean, this is not what you're supposed to do.
But I think it's a problem that people with politics in this country is that this community here is just like a lot of places where people just think, well, I'm going to vote for the person I know, or a leader tells me to, or we'll get certain crumbs back. But meanwhile, look at the state of this city. Right. Look at the state of this country.
People garbage on the streets. Hey, I can tell the garbage man what streets to clean up, but I'm not your city councilman. So the friends that I have there, I send to certain blocks. I told you there was a story before the holiday that there's a sewer drain.
Yes.
That gets clogged every time there's a big rain.
Yep.
And it clogs up the whole street that you can't even cross the street. And old men in wheelchairs, whatever. So this guy called me up, Heshy, help me. So I said, you have to dig up the ground, you have to clean the sewer, there's a way to do it. No, we have no money. So I said, I'll send the sanitation crew around there twice during the holiday as well. So when it rains, he'll make sure to clean it. Right. You won't have an issue. And I did it. I said, all I want for you is, can you send out an email to people to donate to my campaign, even just $10? And he says, yeah, I sent it out. Today I spoke to people of those synagogues. They said, nobody sent us that email. Nobody sent that out to you. I said, yes, really? He says, come by and speak over the weekend. I said, I bet you $200 that you guys are not interested. First of all, I lost. But, you know, this is what they do. They use you, and people say, well,
I think
did
that's
a favor
people
for a
in-
favor. It doesn't work like that.
I think that's people in general. I think that people just, they use people. And you, sir, get used a lot because
I
you're...
don't mind. But all I ask back, you know, many times when I'm dealing with
Well, the voters seem to mind it because they chose Felder for whatever
But,
reason.
You know, I usually have a police officer I help
Yes.
out, firemen. I go in there when they need
Yes.
local help with something. And in return, when I need a favor back, I say, listen, you don't have to pay me. But if I have somebody locked up, I'd like to be able to move them along quicker. Not to break the system rules, but don't hold them back longer. Like I know that I've gotten lost in the system because they purposely wanted to. Or, you know what I mean? Or if I have a fireman, but don't give just the violations for no reason. Understand the situation for the fire. The first thing they do is violate and stuff like that. I have sanitation people that I need to shovel the blocks of snow because we can't get down the block. Now they claim they shovel all the blocks, which again is not true.
They don't know.
So this is the things that I do. When I go to the courts, again, I told you there was a judge that hated me. Now she likes me.
One in
And people
Queens,
actually hated. No, the one in Brooklyn.
Okay, well, close enough.
And people hated her, and they said, Heshy, how could you be friendly with her? Because I'll tell you why.
Tell me.
Because I ended up helping her, and she saw that I am a different person. And I don't ask her for favors. What I ask her is to move things along and not to listen and play the game.
Maybe
of
we should
the
change the show title to a different kind of Heshy instead of just
but that's, it is. But, you know, and I'm going to complain about Mr. Goldenberg.
Oh.
Here's a man with lots of money, a lot of influence. Him and his buddy, Mr. Pearlstein, who has
community board chairman, yes.
No, not Gary Pearlstein. He's another Pearlstein, very rich.
Oh, okay, cool.
This weekend. He has a synagogue where he's not allowed to talk.
Okay.
But he built the whole synagogue illegally. It's a danger. Not talk what? And my problem is not talk that you did, and he's a multi-billionaire.
Oh, I'm sure.
And I just don't understand it. Now he's getting in trouble. They're going to call me. I said, please go somewhere else. Not interested. So they went and they spent their money to put Felder in power because I don't know why.
Because he'll do nothing. He'll give them a few crumbs. He'll sit there and he'll occasionally vote against an issue, but it'll pass. And all the radicals in the city council and the mayor, they'll get what they want, but they'll get a chance. They'll get their big, Shabbos, and they'll all show up and they'll drink, they'll have the matzo ball soup, and they'll all sit there and they'll get photo ops and they'll tell them they're going to fight on one issue. They'll be here in the community. But meanwhile, all the garbage that gets passed in the city council, guys like Felder, guys like Yeager, they're doing nothing about it. They're standing there.
Half a day I hear they're in the offices doing nothing and they go home early. I want to read you something from the City and State paper.
Okay, you tell me.
State Senator Felder wins New York City Council special election. Team Trump candidate Heshy Tischler failed to garner much support in the largely Orthodox Brooklyn district. Now, they're saying that Felder and Tischler were friends during the park situation and that we did it together. That is not true.
You didn't
Let
do
me
it
clear
with me.
that
You
up.
did it-
After I opened up 3 parks, Mr. Felder, Mr. Yeager went secretly to try to open their own parks. They did a news conference in the beginning and they failed. And they said they were never going to open the parks. They were just screaming at the mayor. After I already cut open 2 parks. So all they did was a news conference. Then they went and hired somebody and I found out about it. And I called them up. I said, how could you be opening up a park without me? I mean, that's what I do. And you're trying to take credit for it. So anyways, I went to open the park and I let them take the credit. They even had me arrested because they opened the lock. They cut it. And they blamed it on me. So... no, he's taking credit for stuff that he doesn't deserve. First of all, Yeager took credit for it. Felder took credit. Now they're all saying that I was happy that he did it. Don't you understand, ladies and gentlemen? I was happy he did it because he took care of my community. And I don't mind him taking credit as long as the people are happy. I don't need the credit. I need the job done. Yesterday was election day. My partner went out to do one of my jobs.
Okay.
He failed so bad. He failed so bad that person is in trouble.
Uh-oh.
And he comes back to me, Heshy, you're going to help him. I said, no, I'm not. I told you to postpone it. You thought on election day I was going to go out for you. I told you I can't do it. My partner is something so greedy that he hates me being elected. He's so happy that I lost because I do 95%.
Then why is he your partner then?
Because I like him.
Well, you like
I don't
it.
really like him, but he does his job well.
But he didn't want you to win.
So well.
And he doesn't help you do the job,
He doesn't want me
but
to
he is
win.
your
He doesn't
partner.
want me to win because our business is
Heshy, that might be a reality show in
I know,
itself.
but you should come see us screaming hollow. Again,
You fit the wrestlers. They would love that.
My partner is like the rest of the people. He's more interested in making money and being in the business than suing. You know, when I do constituent services, he's not happy about it. Why are you giving away your services, Heshy? I bill out for you $700 an hour. You have no right to do that. We have a whole team here that supports you. We have to pay their salaries. Now, I understand what he's saying. But the point is, if I can't do goodness and kindness with my job, then I don't like my job, and I will not continue my job. And that's what I told him today. I said, I'm thinking of leaving. I said, I'm really thinking of leaving. I'm not happy with the job.
Well, maybe it is time for you and Linda to go to Florida, like you've always said, have a drink in your hand, just enjoying the war. You know, a couple of people, I know you have friends down there in Miami. Maybe that's where you should go. Maybe that all this hard work and all these running elections, and maybe it's time that we, instead of putting just enough of the constituents to order, maybe it's time for Heshy to get just enough vacation time. I don't know.
I know. Somebody called me today, a very nice friend, Steven. I'm going to tell you his first name. And he also said, take a break, Heshy. I said, but I'm not under pressure. I want to tell you something,
yes,
my dear friend. Mm-hmm. You all think that I'm depressed or down about the election. So let me tell you, and I know you know my history and story and jail and criminal and family.
Because they remind us with the election time. Right. Jeffrey Lab always make sure to remind.
I want to tell you something. Since I'm a young man, I've seen my father's old age home, people die. I woke up old people. I was there, made friends with a lot of them in the old age home. I was a kid. You know how every father brings his son to work? Yeah. I used to be around the old age home, and these old people taught me to play checkers and chess. They helped me with homework. It was like the greatest place. And we were doing real good till my father died and my brother screwed us. So I've seen death since I'm 6, 7 years old. I've experienced sickness. I've experienced my own father's death. I was at the funeral. I saw him at 13 years old. Throughout the years of me visiting the hospital, I've seen people sick. I make them happy. I see death. I see suicide. And I see happinesses. I see weddings. And during the bad times, I fight the weddings, and I always have to smile. So I've seen the trials and tribulations of the people in trouble. I've seen people who need money. I've seen people who don't have food in the house. I've seen people living in squalor where there are bugs living in their stoves that I have to go there with a cleaning lady because it bothers me.
Yeah,
I know they're gonna they can't live like that. And I pull out the stove from the back that people forget you can have a fire, grease and filth and dirt, and that's where they live. New York City Housing Authority, they're the worst landlords, but you come after us little guys, and when we have like 30 violations of duplicity, you're a bad landlord.
But meanwhile, they have,
millions of violations.
Yeah.
So I've seen it all. I've done it. I'm 61 years old. So don't think for a moment I'm sad. I go home sometimes at night very depressed and sad of what goes on during the day. Things that I've tried to fix, things that I fixed, things that I made happy. And yesterday was a day that I lost the election. Don't get me wrong. Again, I don't know if I was sad because as a businessman I knew.
Well, I think
I wanted to win. I thought I would
think
win.
that we were all disappointed in the sense that I think that you
my community, my own.
I think that's what's disappointing is that your community where we are right now currently decided that they wanted to choose someone that was going to do nothing or bad for them. Whereas you presented them for the first time in a long time here, a true opportunity to elect an alternative. And they basically, it's almost like if I was going to...
And not even to throw him out of his job, but to let him continue in the Senate that he just won. Now we're going to be spending more money on another special election.
Yep.
Now other money on the next election. So you're looking at another $2 to $3 million.
If not more.
Out of your career, if not more, just to have this musical chair games continue. And Fisterfelder does not care, just so he can make his $180,000 salary plus bonuses, and while you guys are going to pay for it. But it's okay.
They seem to be okay with it.
I want you to know, I was doing, first of all, I'm so happy that
yes.
I'm going to jump a little bit to the national.
Let's talk about it.
President Trump took away he revoked the clearance for Liz Cheney, Letitia James. Why does Letitia James even have special
Letitia James?
Why does she have clearance?
I agree with you on that. I don't know what.
She's just a stupid, fat, ugly witch.
Well, I mean, I don't know if I put it in that
name.
Well, I think your general point, though, is spot on. How is Letitia James on a clearance list? That's a broader point.
And he took away from Biden. And while I'm on the subject,
Yes.
do you know that they were trying to raise AOC to? I mean, do you want AOC to be vice president? I mean, Camilla was bad, but AOC, she's like retarded. She's retarded. The girl had no money. Now she's worth, what is it, 19 million, 30
I
million?
think 20 million.
How? How? She doesn't know how to add.
Because when they get in there, all of a sudden, like, Heshy, you were talking about the people that promised you 7 million here and 8 million there. People that get into office at that level, Congress and Senate, they become, the one lobbyist is here. Well, you help me, I'll give you this much. And somebody else here, they say that when the minute you get into federal office, the next day you automatically get money, just randomly. And that's the problem. That's the problem. They get money, and AOC is also got a pension. She's been in Congress long enough that she gets a pension. Her salary is a pension.
Wow.
So she's getting, forget about it. You're talking about almost a $250,000 salary for the rest of this girl's life. Right. For a bartender that wasn't even from her district.
Wow.
Actually, that's where you should have had that life instead of helping the guy in Queens or the guy in Brooklyn. Yeah, just enough, corruption there for you.
I want to ask you something.
You asked me anything you want. Yes.
I'm going to ask you 2 questions.
Ask me 3.
But the first opinion I'd like to have on
All
you
right.
is, and I'm not going to talk about Gaza and all that, but I heard that the leaders of Iran told Israel that if they attack Iran and give a big bad bombing, we will then rise up against our leadership. Is that true? I believe always Iran was a bunch of wussies and their people were always idiots for not rising up against them. They're incompetent.
Yep.
They were a bunch of revolutionaries. They don't look at the Syrian government.
Ayatollah Khomeini.
They don't, and I was reading about it. I hated Gaddafi.
You did.
I always thought he was a terrible, vicious tyrant. Now I find out that everybody in his country got a free apartment when they got married. $50,000 to spend when they got married.
So forget about
Free
Musk and the
education.
$5,000. That's even
Oil
10 times that.
Oil and gas was zero. Education was zero. I mean, everybody in the country they weren't billionaires, but there was no homelessness. Everybody was educated, and they had given, if they wanted to go abroad, money. So what was our thing that Gaddafi, he didn't really bomb anybody. He didn't really go to war with anybody. He was in what way a tyrant exactly? I know he must have punished a lot of his people.
I think,
acted like an animal.
You know what? I think
but
that
they're saying it's not true.
But I think that he suffers into a category sometimes of that people want to almost like put somebody from like transcendent politics, and they'll take him and say, well, he's bad at the moment, but then when you go back in the long range, on the grand scheme of things, was he as bad as they said?
It's not bad as he said. So again, that's a good question. So I also put that in as a request to find out, do a little research.
No.
I said the reason why Gaddafi was made to look like this was because he decided that the American dollar, which is the international monetary of the world, Gaddafi decided to create his own monetary with the African nations. He actually decided to say, screw your dollar, I'm going to create a different monetary.
Right, he wanted to get more out of it.
Backed the right way, backed by oil and not by gold. And you will see that it will make more of a profitability, and we don't have to deal with you. When America found out about it, it was America that knocked him out. It wasn't his people, it wasn't anybody else.
But that's what we've done sometimes. We take people, and again, I'm not saying whether they were right or wrong, but it was Gaddafi.
They went after Trump, but Trump somehow, in America, we don't play that game.
No.
I mean, we tried to. We let him get away with it for a while, but even the Democrats were not that powerful. But again, they put a lot of people on January 6th into jail. So it depends how powerful you are. Trump had the money to fight it. I and you don't have the money to fight that. Our people in my community don't have the power to fight their leadership. So they say, you know what? If I argue with them and vote for Heshy, I'm not even going to get the
But you know what I learned from that
discount.
example? That almost, maybe this isn't a democracy in this community. It's a dictatorship. The leaders that you mentioned the names, Goldenberg, Greenfield, Felder, Pearlstein, Rosenfeld.
Yeager with Dopey Yeager.
All these people that follow them. This isn't a democracy here in this district. It's a dictatorship.
Well, if that's what you... And then you have this Rabbi Freilich. I mean, the man... I want to tell you something about Rabbi Freilich. a respected man in the community. Here's the man that has done so much for the community, okay? So I just want to tell you something right now about Mr. Freilich.
Yes, tell me.
His daughter married a very good family.
Okay.
Very nice family. Mm-hmm. The guy ended up being a pig and cheating on her. That's acceptable.
Well,
I have no problem. Now I'm going to tell you inside information. She turned lesbian. It gets worse. She became not a lesbian, a hooker. He threw her out. She then tricked somebody to rent an apartment and screwed that.
This could really be the last episode of Just Enough Heshy based off this. This really could be the final episode.
Into an apartment.
Tune in, man.
I have to tell you the story. This is Mr. Freilich who got on the telephone and telling everybody
we're going out with a bang here. We are really going out with a bang here.
I don't care. He told everybody that Heshy's a crook.
Is this the joke of the day?
No, I'm going to finish this. He went and tricked a landlord to put his daughter in that apartment.
And while the producer wants to censor us right now.
And the landlord couldn't get her out because Mr. Freilich decided not to pay rent till I went and helped buy her out for $15,000.
Give us a call.
This is the man who got on your phone.
Give us a call if we have a show next week, 646-974-1581 or 1580.
You think I'm scared of you, Mr. Freilich? You're just a loser, idiot, a criminal, crook, thief.
Well, that's obviously Heshy telling us why this is the final episode.
Right. What do you say about Trump's deportation?
I think that we need to get law and order.
The judge doesn't let.
This judge should be impeached.
Right. I mean, you cannot stop a deportation.
But you know what? That's the moral of this week's show is that it's do as they say and everybody else to hell with it. Trump has a policy. It's the law of the land. And judges now, it's like they were trying to argue one of Biden's ghost gun rules. And now the judges are saying that that should be upheld. But yet Trump's deportations, it's just two different sides of the coin. Like you said, every law gets argued now in court. Non-citizen voting laws, city of yes.
Millions of dollars that we're spending. And the time you're holding it up is like crazy.
We're going to say goodbye in about 2 minutes to our radio stations.
We have 4 minutes, I think.
We have 4, but
okay,
2
you
to
can
4.
say goodbye early.
No, we're gonna do that. We're gonna keep going. But you tell us more about what you think, Justin.
I'm telling you now that I would have fought against landmarks.
Yes,
they're landmarking houses that not to be landmarked. They're landmarking areas and costing us more money and more filing fees. You have the DEC. I got a case from the DEC.
The DEC. Say that again.
I don't even know what the hell they do. They are now threatening criminal thing because the guy broke up his concrete and didn't put planters over there, and he fixed up. He didn't even build on the house extra, and they want him to take everything down, even though he got the permits from the building department, but they didn't give it to him. And they're threatening him with fines. I had to get him a lawyer. They're threatening him now with criminal stuff. I mean, it just doesn't end.
No.
And on what your government agencies are doing, you're right. I am going to beat him. But you know how much money it's going to cost him for me to beat them? I said to him, he says, no, the principal, Heshy. I said, but the principal is something stupid. It's not worth it.
It's not. I don't know how people do business in this city. I don't know. You know, years ago, I actually considered opening up a business a couple of different times. And I always go back and never pull the trigger because there's just so many things you have to deal with. It's just not even worth it. It's just, I don't know how people get ahead in this city.
I'm sorry, because I love this city.
I know you do.
And we should have everybody having a chance.
Well, that's okay.
I want to just go now a little bit to the Republican Party.
Let's talk about it.
So this GOP guy, Richie Bassemian.
Okay, Richard.
Richard.
Is that his name? Is that his real name, though?
Idiot is his name.
I don't think that's his real name, but go ahead.
Okay. So he's a guy that he is running for city council.
Okay.
He thinks he wields power, and everything that comes out of his mouth is a lie.
Yeah.
He says, Heshy, I love you. And then he's a Lebanese, I don't know what he is. And he keeps talking about Hashem, which is the Jewish
Which he shouldn't say, yep.
And he thinks like that's the way he's going to get the Jews. And he got a couple of Jews to play with him.
Yeah.
But the guy is a man that lied to his executive board, cheated in the election. His assistant finally admitted to me she wants to make peace. And they were all scared I was going to win, that he'd have to make peace. When I do win, Richie, there will not be peace. I'm not here to make peace with you, the Republican Party, like Trump. I'm here to be a Republican to make sure it changes the right way. I don't need your support. But we're going to go after Mr. Kahler's signatures as well. You know, Mr. Kahler calls me up. He says, Heshy, you posted a picture of all the rabbis you were with giving you blessings, but they didn't endorse you. I said, 1 minute. When Mr. Felder put out that fake paper in writing that endorsed him, you know that's fake. At least I have pictures showing that I talked to
Or when
the
they put
rabbis.
those photos up of Mr. Felder, what he looked like 10 years ago. Isn't that
20
fake?
years ago. 20 years ago.
Isn't that fake?
Right.
Isn't that fake?
But my pictures were real from this year. While
And we want to thank everybody that tuned in this week. WNEW 1027 FM, WSNR flagship 620 AM, and of course WJPR 1640 AM and TalkLineNetwork.com. Thank you so much. We will hopefully see you next week. If this is the final edition of the Heshy Show, we thank you for tuning in. But stay tuned.
now, at least, we have the Passover holiday coming and some breaks needed, and we have to prepare for the next.
But we thank everybody for tuning in
Yes,
this
we'll
week.
be
as
back,
well.
afterwards. And plus, you'll see my 2-minute TikToks. But even then, I think we're going to just stop social media for now. I have to concentrate on. Maybe I didn't concentrate. Maybe they're right. I shouldn't be making so much noise. Maybe if I sat quiet and nobody saw me, maybe
Maybe it's just time. Maybe you should do something else. Maybe you should just, I don't know. Maybe
I have a job. I have.
But maybe you should try to do movie reviews. Maybe you should try to just go and become a travel agent like you used to years ago. You were right. Maybe think about teaching a business. Maybe think about doing that.
I'm happy with my business. It's time. I was leaving my business to serve the community.
Maybe a career in movies. Maybe just enough. Maybe you should be an actor. Get your Screen Actors Guild card. Maybe be a comedian.
By the way, I do have my Screen Actors Guild card.
It's a good
I
point.
got it after 3 movie appearances. That I
Then
did.
you should. Maybe that's the way to go. I mean,
One was for 15 seconds. One was I was at SVU as a rabbi, but they only saw me shaking, and it took me a whole.
Why didn't we get that photo and put that in the mailing?
I still have it.
We should have put that in the
The
mailing.
third time I did a commercial.
And in the wrestling world, the wrestlers I know, they want to see you. They always say, "When's Heshy coming on?"
Why
Heshy.
don't you put me on the show?
Well, you gotta give. You always do it at a wedding. I mean, when you're not at a wedding.
Like tonight, I'm going to an event.
There you go.
My question for you is...
All right.
I want to ask you... he says we have 6 minutes left? I don't know what the hell.
We have 4 minutes. He's got 4 minutes.
No problem. We're finishing up in like 2-3 minutes.
4, but okay.
You're-
Let's keep
now,
going.
I like you.
I appreciate that. Same here. I like you
And you
too.
give me a lot of confidence. And you told me that our campaign was... I'm not talking well, or I'm blocking myself.
Let's end the show on a positive. Let's keep going, Heshy. Let's go.
You always give me an uplift, and I want to thank you so much for always being there. We spoke this morning. What was it? 4 in the morning? 5 in the morning?
About 5:30.
Did I pick up right away?
I was gonna should I call Heshy? I felt bad after the way the election was, but I'm like,
regular day for me.
no. I figured you'd answer, but like, let me call him. Let me just tell him, sir, I want to thank you.
The first or second week?
I think 2 rings.
Okay.
It's 2.
I'm always available. I'm always there, even with the prank calls at night. I take it, even though I shouldn't be taking it. My son gets angry. Why do you pick up those calls? I said, because the 1 or 2 emergencies that do have no block number, and they need my help. But yes, I'm stopping to pick up those late night calls. I want to help the community, but they chose Mr. And I'm not punishing the community. People are saying, well, Heshy, that's the way God is. What I'm telling you is that you took away so much of my power now that I was able to do things, and you showed the police.
But not so
and you
fast.
showed the building department, and you showed everybody that, listen, Heshy's a joke, that even if not only did we not elect him, we're not even interested in him helping us.
But you know what, though? Not so fast, because now we go to June, and it's the Republicans that get to speak only, not community leaders who can, monopolize the vote.
The Republicans had the opportunity to come out now as well.
But it's only them now next time. We know 2 years ago when the Republicans only voted, you won on Election Day. Just remind you.
And also on the main election, the Republicans had more votes than anybody else.
And we know that you win this in June. This is all temporary. And
I want to show you what kind of a joke our election was.
Okay.
That besides, there was only 2 candidates, Felder and Tischler.
Yes.
And I know people usually write my name in to make themselves happy. People vote in 20 or 30 write-in names. Why? Why exactly do you write in?
People...
there was no way. I mean, Mickey Mouse again, stupidity. It's like I couldn't believe they did that.
Well, where I live, 1 year I did write in John Wick because my state senator had no election, kind of like Simca Felder. He was running on like multiple lines, so I did write in John Wick 1 year.
But there was no other candidate.
I understand. Yeah.
Okay,
I agree.
so then there's nothing for you to discuss. He won no matter what. But here you had 2 serious candidates.
Yeah.
Well, not really. They don't consider me serious. But and
Well, they did up until 3 days ago. They said you actually outraised Felder. You had I think on the ground, we had a better campaign.
Outraised and being out campaigned still. And you know what bothers me?
What?
The contractors that I hired for they begged me to rent trucks from them. They begged me to put out signs with them, and I said to them, okay, I don't want to do it. I bargained with them, and then finally I said, you know what? I'll take 2 trucks or 3 trucks. I'll let you do my posters. Because they couldn't get Mr. Felder to give them any business. Once I gave them my business, they went to Mr. Felder.
They used you.
And then my truck was followed by Felder's truck when I was supposed to surprise everybody. And it was like, this guy says to me, well, Heshy, I have to rent my trucks out to other vendors. I said, stop it. You're such a liar. You know you lied. I mean, I'm never going to give him business again. But I don't even want to do it. But it's like everybody's out for themselves. And I try to be nice and give people business and do good. But then they find a way to hurt you in this political game. I'm talking about this political game. I had one guy that called me yesterday. He has no heat in his house. Please, has she helped me? So I started to call a few people to see if they can give him some temporary, blowers and stuff for him. I says, can you go vote? He called the office. He says, no, I'm not voting today. I don't feel good.
I ran into people like that yesterday knocking on doors.
Asking me for help. I'm busy doing an election, and you want me to help you, but you won't go vote. Your wife can't go vote because she's watching you. I mean, really?
People
must have been dying.
Well, we go to June and we live another day.
Anyways, thank you everybody for tuning in. And come on back next week. I still might be here, most likely not. What's next week? Next week is the holiday?
April 2nd.
April 6th. So it's the following week.
The 9th.
The 9th. So I don't know, but we might just take off for April for the 2nd, the 9th, and what's the following?
16th.
The 16th. That's when the holiday ends on the 21st. So we might be off for 3 weeks anyway.
Well, I mean, I hope everybody tunes in regardless of when we do come back. Yeah. And we thank everybody here for tuning in on the Just Enough Heshy show. And if you do want to tell Heshy that you do want to help him in this campaign coming up in June, where Republicans only can vote, justenoughheshy@gmail.com, 5318 16th Avenue. Give us a call anytime for the show, 646-974-1580 or 1581. And we thank everybody here for tuning in. Play that music here, producer.